One of the questions my clients ask me all the time is where they should go to buy their kitchen. They want something really good, but they don't want to spend an absolute fortune going really high end or getting a fully bespoke kitchen. So they've seen all the names on TV and in the magazines, they've heard all the offers, and to be honest, they just don't know which one to choose. They all look a bit of a muchness. So they ask me for my professional opinion, and I'm more than happy to give my guidance. And honestly, my advice is to stay away from all of them. And after 25 years working in renovation and kitchen design, these are my 9 reasons why. So reason number 1 is about inspiration. Now, I truly believe the best way to start a new kitchen project is to get inspired. But the truth is, by the time that any kind of kitchen design gets to the high street, it's going to be watered down, it's going to be simplified and kind of standardized. You're much better to go online, look at high-end interior magazines, boutique kitchen companies, architecture projects, even high-end real estate sites have got amazing stuff on them. There's a site that I go to all the time called The Modern House, and honestly, I've got so much inspiration off that site. They're real kitchens, but they're kind of different, and it's really interesting. And look overseas. I love looking at magazines and projects from Australia, Europe, America, Asia. You're just going to get way more inspiration. It's free to get inspiration. You're not actually buying those kitchens. You're just looking at them for ideas. So if you want your kitchen to be different and a bit special, definitely don't go to the high street for your inspiration. So reason number 2 is that you might not think this, but you're going to get limited choice on the high street. The truth is, more choice adds complexity and cost to the manufacturer and the supplier. So what the high street does is they standardise and limit their range so that they can be more efficient and more profitable. So you end up limited in what you can choose. And that covers things like cabinets, doors, worktops, handles, sinks, taps, all of that kind of stuff. You're just going to get a limited range that you can choose from. So then the issue with that is they might not have what is genuinely best for your home. The third issue is around design. And on the high street, it's a sales-led design process. And I really believe great design definitely takes time. And the high street model is built around efficiency and volume. So it just doesn't allow for that kind of deeper exploration, the refinement and the strategic thinking that goes into great kitchen design. Speed and sales targets, they are really what's top of mind, and that design depth really suffers. And I truly believe a kitchen that's not well designed will just never be that successful. The next issue is that everything is bundled together in a high street showroom. So I don't think that the best kitchens are generally sourced from just one place. Now think of it a bit like buying a special outfit. Imagine you've got a special event coming up and you think, right, I need an outfit. So imagine going to one shop and buying that outfit. So you're going to go to the same shop and you're going to get your shoes, your handbag, your jewellery, your underwear, your main outfit, your outerwear. Now, you know, of course you can do that and it's kind of convenient, but it's never going to look as great as if you go to the specialist stores and get those individual things. So imagine if you go to an amazing shoe store to get your shoes, and then you go to somebody that specialises in outerwear for your coat, and you go to a beautiful jeweller's for jewellery, and then you pull your outfit together like that, and that's where amazing outfits are born. And it's the same with a kitchen. If you go to the best places for the individual components, you're just going to pull together a much better end result. So if you go for that kind of more convenient option, you will be compromising, and that's what happens on the high street. The next issue is a little bit related to the last one, but sort of flips it on its head a bit. Most high street kitchens don't supply everything. So they give you the impression that they do, but actually many things you have to take care of yourself. And that kind of really trips people up. So things like floors, splashbacks, decoration, styling, in fact the whole complete picture that creates your final lived space won't be totally covered by the high street showroom. So that's going to leave you thinking, well, where else do I go for the other bits? Or it might leave you thinking, well, I don't really need to bother about those things that much. So they don't really get the same amount of consideration that they actually deserve. So the high street gives you the impression of ease and completeness, but they just don't deliver when it comes to it. Now, you might be surprised about this because a lot of what the high street likes to communicate to you is that you're going to get the most amazing deal on the high street and you're going to pay the lowest possible prices. And that's just not true. So showrooms and advertising, they cost a lot of money. We all know that. And high street companies carry a lot of overhead. They have their retail space, they have their sales teams, marketing, advertising, like huge infrastructure. And you know, those costs need to go somewhere. So you end up paying for the business model, not just the product itself. And actually, you just want the product. It's kind of like a bit of an old school setup. Like business always used to run like that. But there's better business models out there now. And those new business models give you a way where you just pay for the product. So you end up getting better value and you're not paying for things that you don't really care about. The next one is kind of linked to that price one. And it's this idea of interest-free. Now, some of my clients come to me and say, well, I have to go here because they're giving me an interest-free deal. But I just like people to pause and think, well, sometimes interest-free is not really free. It's just a seductive sales technique. Because if a kitchen costs more, then the interest isn't actually free. You would actually be better off sourcing your kitchen elsewhere and paying less, and then actually just paying the interest. It's a lot more transparent, it's a lot more straightforward, and it can work out a lot cheaper overall. So it's definitely worth doing the comparison, and don't just be tempted by the alluring sound of this one. The next issue I see are installation issues. Now, even if you buy the most wonderful kitchen, if it is installed poorly, it will be disappointing. It's a very, very real risk. And what I know after seeing so many kitchen installations is that kitchens are never just very straightforward when you install them. There's always lots of adjustments and things that need to be made. And that's kind of on-site, real-world stuff that a great kitchen installer can just add so much value, and a poor kitchen installer can just destroy a project. Now, what happens with the high street is it can be very fragmented in terms of installation. Many retailers just employ independent fitting teams. It's kind of part of that model of theirs of keeping profits high and costs low. And as much as you may get a great fitting team, you may not. And it's all a bit of a lottery, and you won't have control or influence over that. It's not your choice which team you get. And then finally, this is all about the fact that the high street model is built for scale. And once we understand that, a lot of those other problems we've talked about, they kind of make sense. It's designed for volume, efficiency, and growth. And so things like standardization and speed and profitability all fit into that world. And then that just influences everything. It influences the ranges, the sourcing, the sales process, the pricing, the design depth you get, the installation structure, and the overall financial model. Now, it doesn't mean you can't get a decent kitchen on the high street. Many, many people have, but personally, I think there's much smarter ways to approach your new kitchen, and I just want people to know about them. So if you're planning a new kitchen renovation and you don't just want to walk into the high street and hope for the best, that's why I created my kitchen success method. It maps out in 4 clear stages what I believe is a much smarter way to approach kitchen renovation. It's exactly the same advice and process that I've shared for years with my clients, my friends and my family, and I've finally just gotten around to writing it all down. So I'll link it below if you'd like to take a look.